Hey everyone, it's Josh at Kenworth of Richfield, and this week we're going to talk about a 2020 Kenworth W990 Day Cab. Looking at it, I just might have a new favorite color. Come on, you didn't think it was going to change, did you? Hey guys, thanks for stopping by the channel again. We're going to talk about this 2020 W990. Now this truck, it's pretty similar to one that I did a few weeks back. It's obviously red. I like it. It's obviously a day cab. We changed a few of the options in order to bring the price down a little bit. So if you're looking for something that's a little bit closer to home, let's say, this one might be it. Curious about what the price is? Ask me in the comments or send me a message. I'll put my email address below so that way you guys can figure this one out. One of the things we're going to focus on is back here. This truck has the AG460 suspension. Now the AG460 and AG400 suspensions are very similar. Weight capacity is obviously the big difference between the two. It's a suspension that a lot of people don't necessarily understand, and they don't understand the benefits behind it. So this week, that's going to be the thing that we're going to dive into. But with the way this truck's set up, obviously we can go front to back. We're going to end up spending most of our time there. Let's get into it. So you guys know that the cab, hood, things of that nature are my first favorite color. The front end happens to be filled with my second favorite color, which is shiny. The big Texas style bumper. This one actually does have the collision mitigation system on it and the adaptive cruise control on it. One of these days here coming up, I will be taking a truck out and showing you guys how that works. It's a good setup, trust me on this one. This, once again, the traditional Kenworth metal grille. It's all metal. It says a lot for the quality of the truck when the first thing you put on the front is metal instead of plastic. Over here we've got our composite reflector headlights with this. They really are a good headlight for throwing that light on down the road. Let's see what's under the hood. So under the hood, guys, we've got a 565 horsepower Cummins, 1,850 foot-pounds of torque. Behind that, Eaton 18-speed. This one's a manual for all those that love the 3-pedal system. Underneath it, we've got a 13.2 front axle, 13.2 front springs, shocks on this one. We've also got disc brakes up front. Out here, Alcoa Durabrites, 24/5 rubber. All the things that you'd expect on anything that has a W in the beginning of the name, right? So as we come a little bit further back and once we've got the hood closed again, first off, these markers up here, I think it's a nice added touch, and the fact that it follows the contour of the fender looks pretty good. These air intakes, this little piece right here, it's been unbelievable the amount of opinions that have been stirred by this, what is this, 2 foot by 2 foot shiny piece? I'd like to know if you got, I'm decent with Photoshop. Do you want to see this without this air intake? If you do, put it in the comments below. I get enough of you saying that, yeah, you want to see what it would look like maybe without the air intake. I'll see if I can do a couple of renderings of it. Let me know in the comments, like I said. We did put the chrome mirror caps on this one too because my second favorite color. So in sticking with the theme of the second favorite color being shiny bits, down here we went with the nice wide tank straps on this, the polished ones. I mean, they really just add a nice look to it. Give it a finished look, I guess is what I would say. The tank on this side is a 50-50 split. 50 gallons of fuel, 50 gallons of hydraulic fluid. Over on the other side there, I've got a 135 gallon tank, so you've got plenty to stay out all day long if you want to. Behind that, we've got the polished battery box cover on it, because if you've got this much shiny stuff, why would you put a plastic battery box cover on it, right? This truck also has the dual stacks on it because the truck needs to look good even if you don't. So guys, on the inside of this truck, this is part of where we changed some of the things in order to get the cost down a little bit, make it more accessible to some people that may not have that option otherwise. In this, we've still got the tinted rear windows, and it's got the 3 wide windows on the back of this. It's still got the leather-wrapped smart wheel. It doesn't have the limited edition interior though. This one just has a cloth seat. It doesn't have the fancy royal blue stitching in it. For a lot of people, we knew that wasn't necessarily a must-have item. In the same sense, this truck has an added gauge package instead of the Nav Plus system. Still got a great stereo, don't worry about that, you can rock out all day long. These are just a few areas where we decided to say, okay, let's tone it down a bit, make it attainable for someone else. Once again, I still really love the interior of this truck. This 2.1 meter cab is just incredibly quiet, incredibly well thought out. Everything, as I've mentioned before, is within easy reach. Everything's visible. The visibility for this truck, being a big wide hood, is really good. When you look at the size of the windshield on this truck, it's big. It gives you all that visibility you need. Where the window switches are, the mirror switches, just everything is well thought out. There's cars that you get into sometimes, and I don't know if you've been car shopping in the past couple of years, but when you look at some of them, you look at some of the things in those cars and you see, well, that was an afterthought. Like, oh crap, we designed an entire car and I guess we need cup holders too. And you see a random cup holder in a spot. Nothing in this truck is that way. Everything was designed to work together. And that's a great thing. That is what's going to make those long days in the saddle a little bit easier. It's nice to get home with something in the tank, isn't it? So let's come back to where the power actually gets put to the road. Starting at the outside, we've got Bridgestones that are 11R 24.5s. Those are wrapped around Alcoa Durabrite wheels, and you guys all know the story with those. Just mild soap and water, they're going to stay good looking for a long time. A lot longer than any of us. Just inside of that, we've actually got disc brakes on this truck. More and more trucks are going to disc brake. And there's a lot of really good reasons for that. In fact, that's something that we're probably going to cover in a video coming up here. So all of that is hooked on to an RT46 Meritor here. There's one up there. They both have 410 rear end gears in them. I mentioned the thing that we're going to focus on today is going to be the rear suspension setup. This truck uses the AG460. It's the same essentially as the AG400. There's obviously just some heavier duty parts to give you the added weight carrying capacity with this. So what makes this suspension special, and why should you choose this suspension over something like a low leaf or design that's like the AG380 or the AG400L? This is a very versatile suspension setup, and it's actually really easy on your driveline, which makes it easier on your driver in a couple of ways. Most low-leaf suspension setups use 2 airbags in the rear of each axle, so you have 4 on a set of tandems. This actually uses 8, and there's a good reason as to why they have to do that. It's because of how the suspension travels. When you look at a low-leaf setup, it actually travels on an arc. If you look at how far my finger's back here, and as I go up where it's at here, it actually comes forward a bit. It's that arc that causes driveline angles to change, and it's that arc that makes the rear end a little bit more difficult to get over some bumps. With the AG460 and the AG400, the design of the suspension, because it's a parallelogram, it actually ensures that the axle travels only vertically. There's no front to back travel as the axle goes through its travel there. It's just straight up and down. What that does is that keeps your driveline angles consistent, which reduces wear on them, reduces binding, makes things smoother. See how it's easier on the driver now? So when the driveline is smoother and the suspension smoother, the driver's smoother. So the design of this, when I say parallelogram, it actually uses two control arms back here that come from the frame to come back to a center point. That point is what, and the angle that those are on are what gives you your side-to-side stability. That's what keeps the rear end from going out side to side this way. Underneath, we have basically a torsion arm that connects two control arms. Those arms help position the rear end on the bottom, and the torsion arm in between actually acts like an anti-sway bar, similar to what you got in your car. What that does is that still allows you axle articulation for those off-road situations that you get into without a lot of sway in the truck in windy conditions or things of that nature. The reason for 4 airbags per axle on this is because of the way the suspension travels. When you've got this arc back here, you can get away with just 1 bag. If you just put 1 bag back here, obviously things are going to cant, and you've got to have something else to support it at the front. These bags are actually a touch smaller in height because we make up for that volume by having more bags. So the path that this axle takes also eliminates any axle wrap. An axle wrap is what you used to get in your 1978 Camaro when you tried to do a burnout and it just couldn't quite do it. You actually get the axle spinning this way instead of the tires. Because of the travel of this, you don't get any axle wrap. You don't get really those torsional stresses that you would in other cases. That gives you a really planted tire, which is exactly what you need in low traction situations such as gravel, sand, or mud. We want to make sure that whatever power you're getting out of that engine gets to the ground and gets you moving forward. So guys, if you haven't figured it out, I like the W990. I think it's a great truck. And it's got proven pieces underneath it. So we've got a new truck where the driveline's been tested and trued over how many generations. To me, that's part of what makes this such an awesome truck. As always, I love to hear your guys' opinions. We've had some great discussions over a couple of things. This is one, like I said, let me know if you want me to cover that up and let's see what we can come up with. On top of that, if there's something else you'd like to see, by all means, please put that in the comments. If you like this, give me the thumbs up. As always, stay safe out there, keep it rubber side down. Catch you on the flip side.